So you are curious about opening your third eye. I'm going to show you how I did it, and I guarantee you that my specific approach is going to be different than anyone else's you've read about. For ages, the third eye has been seen as something mysterious and mystical, reserved for those with unique and special abilities. But this is completely inaccurate. The third eye and the abilities that it provides is completely natural, and it's a potential that every fully developed human body has. These days, most of us are not using this faculty at this point in history because of poor environmental conditions and poor consumptive habits, which have resulted in neurotoxic buildup. The third eye is quite literally a glandular eye in the center of your skull. This would be the pineal gland in conjunction to the optic thalamus. And that word thalamus in Greek meaning inner chamber. You could even refer to the third eye as a psychic antenna. It's located behind and above the pituitary gland, and it's activated by light, but it also responds to the lack of light as well. Keep that in mind. So how would you know if your third eye is fully awake and active? Well, for one, you would feel it in your skull. You would sense a noticeable pressure on the forehead. You would also notice that when your forehead gets close to metallic objects, you would feel a magnetic sensation near and above your eyes. If this has just started to happen in your body, then you're going to want to pay close attention because the synchronicities will most likely start happening, and you may begin to view symbols and numbers in a more mystical fashion. You may start to see correlations in people's names and last names, as well as correlations in the names of locations and how these things relate to pertinent information in the memory bank of your subconscious mind. You can then use these correlations to help guide your direction into places you've never thought of exploring. Now, keep in mind, if you put your body through a good enough detox, your third eye might start to open, and if this occurs before you have worked on your heart chakra, you might find yourself in a very scary place. Now, even if you have already worked on your heart space, opening the third eye could be very shocking. But if you have not worked on the heart space and gone through that emotional process, that could lead to a lot of difficulty for you. Therefore, I always advise people to start with the heart, the mother, and then move up to the head, which would be the father. So if you are not experiencing regular synchronicities in your life, if you don't feel led by intuition, if you have chronic difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, or feeling sluggish or irritable when you wake up in the morning, this could be a sign that it is not open. If that's the case and you've worked on your heart space and you've gone through the forgiveness process and you are ready to stimulate and activate your body's third eye, here's how I did it myself, and here is how I'm able to keep it open and operating on a regular basis. So first, clean up your diet. This means no processed foods, no foods that will take very long to digest either. When I did this, I eliminated all acid-forming foods out of my diet. Only put foods into your body which it intrinsically knows how to break down and absorb nutrients from. In Ayurveda, these would be sattvic foods such as raw fruits and vegetables, especially leafy greens. Now, if you have to eat some cooked food, I suggest boiled sweet potato or mung bean dal, which is a fantastic Indian dish, to help you hold yourself down. I'd also suggest to stay away from all animal products, since these are all acid-forming, and to either significantly lower your salt intake or to stop eating salt altogether for a while, especially if it's table salt, aka sodium chloride. Nobody should be eating that stuff in the first place. As far as other protocols go, I'd recommend liquid iodine with potassium iodide. Iodine is going to help remove calcification around the pineal. I'd also recommend liquid zeolite suspension and liquid chlorophyll, as well as drinking distilled water. Remember, pure is the cure. If you follow this regimen for 1 month or longer, you will feel like a completely different person, and you will probably start to look like a different person because a regimen like this has rehydrating, anti-aging effects, especially if you stop with all the extra salt. When you detox, you could experience all sorts of side effects. Most people's bodies are damaged from years of consuming the wrong kinds of food. Our culture worldwide has traded practicality and natural consumptive behaviors for indulgence and decadence, which has become normalized. If you want to open the third eye effectively and go through an alchemical transformation and get your body clean on the inside, you must forsake many of the consumptive habits you have been told were okay. These are clearly not okay, and this is why we live in such a disease-ridden society. Remember, you gotta be extreme if you want to reach the supreme. Second thing to write down or to remember would be to focus on your breathing patterns. If you teach your body how to take long, slow, diaphragmatic breaths, you're going to have an easier time relaxing the body and tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system. Something else you could employ is alternate nostril breathing, known as pranayama, which happens to be one of the fantastic 8 limbs of yoga. Your breath is also going to aid in helping to remove neurotoxins from the brain, toxins from the lymphatic system, and toxins from other places in the body. Every time you catch your body taking short, shallow breaths, take notice and then get back in the flow. Your breath will set the precedent for everything else. Number 3 would be regular shavasana. You're going to want to lay down on a hard surface regularly. Laying on cushions is not the absolute best for blood flow to the head. In Tantra, the ojas is the energy which confers extraordinary vigor, power, and virility. Laying on your back on hard surfaces, as well as performing headstands, if you can do it, is going to circulate blood flow to the right places in the brain, which should aid in the creation and proper secretion of necessary neurochemicals in the brain. A regular physical yogic practice is also highly recommended. Next would be sunlight. Sun exposure in general is going to activate your third eye. I lay in the sun almost daily, about 10 to 20 minutes depending on the time of the day that I'm out there, and I absorb this light directly without burning. Oftentimes, the reason why people burn when they lay out in the sun is because their blood is toxic. They're not able to absorb the light because of the high level of impurities in their bodies, hence why I suggest going through a major detox. Also, sun gazing is going to help regulate the secretion of serotonin, which is produced by the pineal gland. Sunrise and sunset are the best times to sun gaze. You can look directly at the sun during these times without any harmful effects taking place. Your eyes will let you know when it's time to look away. Next is going to be having complete darkness when you're sleeping. Waking up moments before the sun comes up in the morning and going to bed at night at an earlier time is ideal if you want to keep the pineal operating beautifully in rhythm with the natural circadian flow. The best case scenario for the 2 front eyes and the eye is to sleep in total darkness. If there's any light leaking into the room, I suggest trying a sleeping mask. It really can't get too dark. The reason for the necessary darkness is for the production of melatonin. The lack of light will allow the perfect secretions of melatonin into the body, giving you beautiful, natural, restorative sleep. The next one is tongue humming. This is a technique that involves placing the tip of your tongue in between your front teeth and then humming, making your tongue into a type of reed like you'd find in a woodwind instrument. This method sends a vibrational signal directly through your skull, rattling and removing any calcification which could be keeping your pineal gland dormant. Next is eye crossing. Closing the eyes, crossing them, and then looking down in the direction of the tip of your nose while placing your focus on the back of the head is another way to engage the pineal gland. You may feel shivers throughout your body, and that's a very good sign. This is also a great way to move the body into a relaxed state and to tap into the parasympathetic nervous system. Last, of course, would be meditation. Sitting in silence, eyes closed, focusing on the breath, and observing all thoughts dispassionately will naturally engage the third eye. The best time to do this would be early in the morning upon waking and at night before falling asleep. Here are the benefits of having a regularly open, active third eye. Sharpened intuition, precognitive information, which would be thoughts or visions of things before they happen, telepathic communication, that could be with people you know or people you have not yet met, and also better quality of sleep.